Washington Township. I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Statement of meeting notice. Adequate notice of this meeting was given to the public 48 hours in advance of the date, setting forth the date, time, location, and type of meeting. Notice was sent to the Daily Record, the Observer Tribune, and the Washington Township Clerk, and was posted on the district website at www.wtschools.org. All please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss a legal matter.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll be in exec session for approximately 30 minutes. Thanksgiving and is off to a good December. We have a few noteworthy items on the agenda tonight that I wanted to briefly cover. But first, I wanted to comment on the successful TREPS Marketplace that took place on Saturday. This incredible event showcased over 150 student-run businesses. Our incoming superintendent, Antonella Lynn, came out to visit as well and sent a note that she thought everyone did a phenomenal job, and so did all the TREPS team. I also wanted to point out that one of our parents, Meg Burgeon, if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize, created a community Facebook page called WT TREPS Overstock, where those who were not able to attend or wish to purchase additional items can get in touch with those student-run businesses. Next, I wanted to point out that this is the last board meeting of the 2024 calendar year, and we have two outgoing board members, Cindy Ruggiero, who spoke last meeting because she was not able to attend tonight. We wish her well, and she'll be missed. And Carmine Capograsso, who in a moment I'll give some time later on in the meeting to address the community, but again, wish him well, and he will also be missed. I also wanted to congratulate incoming board members, Mike Catano, Melanie Bratton, and welcome existing board member Rob Waskus for another 3-year term. We also have a very special event on the agenda tonight, which is an award honoring one of our teachers, Tara Lygos, with the 2024 New Jersey Exemplary Educator Distinction. For context, only 160 educators in the entire state this year are receiving this distinction. Mrs. Tara Lygos, a 4th and 5th grade English language arts and social studies teacher at Old Farmers Road School, has been chosen to receive this award based on strong knowledge and skills, notable impact on student growth, an inspiring presence, and a clear vision for quality teaching and learning. Momentarily, I think we have Principal Hawkswell here. There she is. Who's here tonight to present the honor to Mrs. Lygos after superintendent's comments. But before I turn it over to Mary Beth, I want to point out on agenda item number 13 tonight is the resignation of our interim superintendent, which means this is her last board meeting. And I just wanted to say a few words. While this was mine and many others on this board's first superintendent search, and hopefully the last, it is my belief that the interim is there to keep the ship afloat and bridge the gap between old and new. While Mary Beth achieved this, she did much more. Faced with a lot of difficult district problems that needed to be solved, she rose to the occasion and acted as if she was here for the long haul. I've said this before during our permanent superintendent search, but our board would often use Mary Beth as the benchmark for what we were looking for. We are grateful that you are staying with us for a brief period to make sure Antonella gets acclimated into her new role. And I wanted to thank you for all your efforts and time you put into our district, and we wish you the best of luck on your future endeavors. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. So we'll start with HIB reports in accordance with New Jersey's Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. I need to report every month on our HIB investigations. There were 11 HIB-related investigations this reporting period. 8 were unfounded and 3 were founded. Of the schools, Benedict A. Cuccinella School had 2 investigations. 1 was unfounded and 1 was founded. At Flocktown Cosman, there were 2. Both were unfounded. At Old Farmers, there was only 1, and that case was unfounded. And at Long Valley Middle School, there were 6 investigations, 4 were unfounded, and 2 were founded. Moving on, December is such a joyous time to be in and around schools. Engaging learning activities are taking place, and in addition to those fun scheduled events that make classrooms a special place to be visiting at holiday time. Mrs. Antonella Lind, the new superintendent, and I have visited each of the schools together, and we will continue to work collaboratively throughout the month of January to ensure a smooth and successful transition. Since this is my last board meeting, I wanted to take a moment to thank the full board: John, Cindy, Carmine, Jessica, John, Jennifer, Lindsay, Isabel, and Rob, our BA, and Board Secretary Katie for affording me the opportunity, and I'm going to get upset, the opportunity to serve, along with the students, staff, administrative team, central office, and community. It has been a pleasure. And finally, I want to wish you and your families an enjoyable holiday season. May you have a wonderful winter break and a happy, healthy 2025. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Mary Beth. So now we have the presentation for Tara Lagos. Welcome, Principal Hawkswell.
Use one of ours.
Can't go far. That had to be right next to you.
Sorry.
That's okay. We'll do that. We'll be here. Come with me. Okay. So, it is with immense pride and excitement that I stand before you to share some truly outstanding news. We are thrilled to announce that Mrs. Tara Lagos, a dedicated and inspiring educator at Old Farmers Road School, has been selected as 2024 New Jersey Exemplary Educator. This is an extraordinary honor. As we heard earlier, only 160 educators across the entire state have been recognized with this distinction this school year. And the selection process was rigorous. It took over a year, and we were very worried the entire time and had to keep it a secret from you, which was nearly impossible. Not worried, anticipating the entire time. And to set the tone for why Mrs. Lagos is so deserving of this honor, I will begin by reading a letter of support that we received just today by a former family. My name is Iwana Diaz, and I have been a resident of Long Valley for the past 10 years. Both of my kids, name sound familiar? Both of my kids had the pleasure and were lucky enough to have Mrs. Lagos as their 5th grade teacher during 17-18 and 23-24 school years. I am so very thankful for Mrs. Lagos. I strongly believe that Mrs. Lagos played an imperative role in my son's success in high school. It is easy to oversee shy, introverted kids, as schools a lot of time focus on those outgoing and outspoken students. But Mrs. Lagos, with her special gifts, knew how to engage and get to all of her students. She has given my kids not only a great education, support, and superior classroom experience, but most importantly, she made them believe in themselves. She truly wanted to get to know them, and once she did, she worked really hard to improve my son's confidence in his skills, especially writing, and learn how to advocate for himself. I will be forever grateful for that, as I strongly believe she was the building pillar of his excellent results in high school. From the very first interaction I had with Mrs. Lagos, I knew she was a special, passionate, and amazing teacher. Ditto for me on my first time meeting you. She embraced both of my kids, let them be themselves, and show who they truly are. It takes a special teacher to do all that. She was such a pleasure to be interacting with, as she was always listening to any concerns I had. I hope this community, Board of Ed, and Superintendent support, reward, and recognize this incredible teacher. We are forever grateful to her, the Diaz family. A year ago, I received a similar letter from another pleased parent, Mrs. Bratton, who suggested we recommend Mrs. Lagos for the New Jersey Exemplary Educator, and I jumped on board immediately. With the help of some colleagues, sneakily behind your back, we were able to very discreetly get feedback from several students and families that Mrs. Lagos has impacted over the years and include their thoughts in our nomination packet. It made it to be quite a large packet. The sentiments expressed were very similar. Her classroom is a space where curiosity thrives, critical thinking is cultivated, and a love for learning is instilled in every student who walks through the door. Her ability to connect with each learner and inspire them to achieve their best is nothing short of remarkable. Her dedication goes beyond academic success. She shapes character, fosters confidence, and instills a sense of purpose in her students. Beyond her classroom, Mrs. Lagos supports her colleagues, shares innovative teaching practices, and contributes to a collaborative and uplifting environment. She She regularly attends Board of Education meetings. You probably recognize her. She's always and takes an active interest in the success of the entire district. Her clear vision for quality teaching and learning inspires us all to strive for excellence every day. We are so proud to have Mrs. Lagos as part of our team and look forward to all she will accomplish in her career. Thank you, Mrs. Lagos, for your unwavering dedication and for reminding us all of the power of a truly exceptional teacher. Testing.
I think everyone can hear me. My best friend and I have a wonderful husband. I'm going to come this way if you don't mind. So even though I'm really loud and obnoxious, which you know I am, right? I really get very uncomfortable in situations like this. But I thought, let me take this opportunity. Our board, our interim superintendent, and our community and those watching. We are, right? I mean, because this is a representation of everyone here, colleagues in the back, my students, the parents that I've had the pleasure of working with, the school board members who I may not have always agreed with, but who I felt comfortable enough standing up and saying and asking. I mean, Long Valley, you don't come to Long Valley because we're beautiful, yeah, but you come for the community, and within that community is really everyone, right? And I'm gonna sound so nerdy, but guys, I truly believe it. Like, my husband and I, we are proud products of Long Valley, like you guys are, right? So many of us, we go through the school system, like, oh, can't wait to leave, look out now. I can tell you 9 out of 10 of my best friends have come back here to raise their family. So for the students who are here, you guys are so incredibly lucky that your parents love you to be here. For board members, kids are lucky that you care enough to sit and agree and disagree and bicker and put up with everything and giving up your time. But this award goes for the whole flipping community, right? Especially the educators. When we say educators, we don't just mean the teachers in the classroom. Amazing classrooms, amazing cafeteria, amazing professionals, amazing administration. I had the pleasure of sitting. I don't mean to. The pleasure of sitting on the hiring committee to hire Mrs. Hospital. Like, it's a special place. So I take this honor, and I'm so thankful. But it's not just me. It is literally every single person who walks in the doors of every school in this age group. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for holding us to task. Thank you for being awesome kids. Even when you drive me crazy, I love you very much. Thank you for being great parents. And it does sound cliche, because it really does take a village. Nobody's raising these kids alone, right? Nobody. We can all say that we made every decision in the best interest of no way we can lose. So this is for everyone. This is for everyone. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your I'm going to shut up now. Oh, sorry. I'm going to be quiet right now. Say.
Before we move on to the rest of the agenda, I just wanted to give a moment for Carmine, or if you've elected somebody to speak on your behalf.
Lucky duck, it's me.
It's my sidekick.
All right, I'm going to try to get through this. So Carmine and I started this journey around the same time, about 7 or 8 years ago. At that time, we both had concerns about the teachers' contracts that had been in negotiation for 3 years, the special education children who lost caseworkers, the health issues affecting old farmers, and I still remember the first time Carmine spoke during public comment. A few thoughts ran through my head. The first thought was, oh, what an incredible and involved grandfather. Wow, he's spot on what he's saying. And then, of course, he must be from Brooklyn. And at that moment, I knew Carmine and I would make a great team if we collaborated to get our district back on track. I was absolutely thrilled when I heard that he was going to run for the Board of Education, and I fully supported his candidacy. With over 30 years of experience as an educator, Carmine brought a wealth of knowledge and great ideas to consider for our district. With the STEM fair being one of his greatest passions, he dove into his role as board member with dedication, conviction, and heart. It was my great honor to serve alongside him as vice president while he served as president. Through his leadership, Carmine mentored me and helped ensure that all board members were well informed and engaged. He upheld the integrity of our board meetings by fostering transparency, unity, fairness, and always putting others first. He genuinely cares about supporting anyone who wants to learn and grow. Must be that teacher in you. Notably, Carmine also brought the TREPS program to our district. It's an entrepreneur project-based learning program that teaches kids in grades 5 through 8 how to start their own businesses. They learn the essential skills and lessons at school and apply them as they build their businesses. The whole community comes out to enjoy the TREPS Marketplace, as we just did, held right here at the school where the young entrepreneurs launched a business together. The program was a huge success, and it was incredible to see it come to fruition. Early on, Carmine recognized that our district was behind in technology. He pushed for the one-to-one Chromebook initiative, and looking back, that move is nothing short of timely. Without Carmine's foresight, we would have been scrambling to figure out how to ensure students could still connect with their teachers during COVID. Carmine was also an instrumental in negotiations for the WTAA and the WTEA contracts. His expertise and fairness created a collaborative environment that allowed for quick and successful resolutions 3 times without need for costly legal intervention. And true to his nature, he took every opportunity to teach the rest of us on the committee, giving us the tools we needed to navigate those processes. Like any great teacher, he didn't just solve problems, he made sure we learned from them. He was also deeply involved in both our recent superintendent searches. Carmine approached the task with the same level of diligence and integrity that he brought to every aspect of his work, conducting through investigations and evaluating resumes with an educator's eye. He also always focused on finding someone who would complement the strengths of our district. The time and effort he invested in this search went above and beyond what anybody could expect, and we are grateful for his commitment in ensuring we hired the right leader for our schools. One of Carmine's most admirable qualities is his unwavering courage to speak up for what he believes in. He's never been swayed by emotion, always relying on the facts to make sound decisions. And through it all, the needs of the children were always his top priority. As a city kid, Carmine gained a deep understanding of the challenges that many children face: poverty, abuse, broken homes that can hinder their ability to learn and grow. His early life experiences shaped his empathy for others and ignited his lifelong passions to make a difference in the lives of children. As an educator, Carmine changed lives, and as a board member, he continued to champion the well-being of every child. Beyond his work on the board, Carmine is a true family man, a constant pillar of support and love. He's a devoted father and grandfather, and I've witnessed firsthand his unwavering commitment to his family. One of my favorite moments was when I asked for volunteers for the LVMS book fair, and Carmine immediately volunteered without realizing that his daughter had already been chairing it. I knew that at moment the dynamic duo would make it a huge success, and to this day it's been one of our best years yet. It reminds me so much of my relationship with my father and my grandfather. In closing, Carmine truly is a model board member. He cares deeply about his community, its children, and always goes the extra mile to support those around him. He's brought so many incredible things to this board, and personally, I owe much of my success to him. He took me under his wing, encouraged me, listened to me, and always made himself available when I needed guidance. which I'll probably still reach out to for guidance. I'll never forget the time he watched the eulogy I gave for my grandmother. He knew how much she meant to me, and his kind words after meant the world to me. And it's funny how life comes full circle sometimes, because I gave that eulogy at St. Athanasius Church in Brooklyn, the same place where Carmine started his own journey as an educator. It feels fitting that decades later, we both found ourselves on this board together. Over the years, I've come to think of Carmine as family, and I can't express enough how much he will be missed. And I know I'm not alone in feeling that way. It has been a true honor and a privilege to fight the fight with you and to serve alongside you for the past 5 years. Thank you for everything you've done for me, for the board, and most importantly, for the district.
I see some of the flocked out Gossman teachers here. And that's really how I started. When my granddaughter went into kindergarten, I was there to pick up. And I would talk to the secretary, the custodians, anybody who walked by. I was always in a conversation. And then I volunteered for Miss Hemberger in the art room and in the library and computer room, giving my time for that. And that's where I got to know a lot of the teachers. And when I heard that their contract was over 2 years and they didn't have one, it just blew my mind. And that's what got me started. So first I want to thank my family for their support and understanding these last 6 years. I would also like to thank the community and the staff for their support and encouragement during my years as a board member. It was an honor and privilege to work with so many dedicated board members throughout the years. Their support and inspiration made my 6 years go by effortlessly. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmen.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Finance?
Yes, I'm lucky enough to follow that.
Always finance.
Sorry, I understand if you want to make your way to the exit. The Finance and Facilities Committee met on December 2nd. In attendance were Jess, Lindsay, John, Katie, Stephanie, and myself. The committee began with a discussion of an ongoing legal matter and potential financial implications. The details can't be disclosed publicly. Then the committee discussed referendum updates. The HVAC and electrical upgrades here at LVMS, the bid is being rejected. It's going to happen later on during the finance portion of the meeting. Due to the bids received being over budget, the district will go out for rebid on the 20th of this month and put areas of the project as alternates for the rebid to manage the costs. The electrical upgrades related to the generator, the TSUJ Corporation started work the week of December 2nd here at the school. Those installation activities will happen after school hours. We anticipate the bid opening for the music accessory space and the culinary space here at LVMS, as well as STEAM spaces throughout the district on the 29th of January. The committee then reviewed finance agenda items on tonight's agenda. We started with the out-of-district placement. That's item number 7 on tonight's agenda. The bid that I just mentioned is number 9 on tonight's agenda, and an addendum to the cost contract to give mileage reimbursement to our 2 technology employees for use of their personal vehicles. That's item number 20 on tonight's agenda. The committee then discussed the ACER report and reviewed enrollment changes from 23 to 24. They were essentially flat 2006 to 2009 students. One interesting thing of note was the rather substantial increase in the number of free and reduced students from 83 to 164. That had to do with categorization change related to legislation that came out of Trenton. The committee then reviewed the revised long-range facilities plan proposal that we've gone back and forth over for the last several months. That's up for approval as item number 10 on tonight's agenda. The committee again reviewed the progress of the Class 3 officer and discussed that. And then we had some discussions on the 25-26 budget. The principals, administrators, and buildings and facilities had to have their 25-26 budget requests entered into our accounting system before the Thanksgiving break. And our superintendent, Mary Beth, as well as our BA, Katie, completed a mid-year check for the 24-25 budget with the county superintendent on December 3rd, and that I guess passed is the right word, with flying colors. No issues there. We discussed an addendum to the WTAA contract. And then due to some response and concern from the community, as well as some of the things that we are seeing in the media, we discussed potential impacts should changes be made at the federal level to the Department of Education. We reviewed the amount of federal funding we received, IDEA as well as ESEA funding. Obviously, everything is very premature at this point, but we want to keep that on our radar going forward. And finally, we reviewed the basketball courts at Cosman School and discussed them with regard to existing referendum project updates. Questions? That's the finance report. What, no standing ovation? No.
Thanks, Rob. So moving on to public comment on agenda items. If anyone has a public comment on agenda items, please approach the microphone, state your name, address, and you'll have 3 minutes to provide any comment. Approval of minutes. I'm going to make a motion to approve the November 5th regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay. Moving on.
Sorry, I was not in November.
Okay. Moving on to education. Can I have somebody please move education? I know Cindy usually does it. Do we have?
Education, would like to move items 1 to 3 on the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Capagrosso?
Yes.
Mrs. Succi?
Yes.
Mr. Hawley?
Yes.
Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Vieira?
Yes.
Mr. Oldmixon?
Yes. Next, finance. Can I have somebody please move finance?
Finance would like to move items number 4 through 11 on tonight's agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Capagrosso?
Yes.
Mrs. Succi?
Yes.
Mr. Hawley?
Yes.
Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Vieira?
Yes.
Mr. Oldmixon?
Yes. And personnel. Can I have
First.
someone please move personnel?
Personnel would like to move item 12 on the agenda. Motion to accept with regret the following retirement. Mary Egan, teacher of special ed, Cuccinella School, effective January 1st, 2025, after 15 years of service in the district.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. DeSico?
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Capagrosso?
Yes.
Mrs. Succi?
Yes.
Mr. Hawley?
Yes.
Mr. Waskis?
Yes.
Mrs. Vieira?
Yes.
Mr. Oldmixon?
Yes.
All right, personnel would like to move items 13 through 22 on the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? I'm just
Can
going to
I
say.
just-
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to acknowledge all the hard work and dedication that Mary Beth had for us during her time as interim superintendent. When I tell you she dove in with 2 feet from day one, I kid you not, working weekends, sometimes vacations, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you're on vacation. Why are you emailing everyone? There was really no limit to the amount of work and effort she put in to make sure that we got to a better place than we had left, and that it will be a smooth transition between the two. So I just want to thank you and acknowledge that.
Thanks. And I also did just want to add, there's 13 and 14, so Mary Beth is going to be on basically as a consultant role to kind of make the transition as smooth as possible with Antonella, which is great, and I thank you very much for doing that. Is there any other discussion?
I'd like to offer my thanks as well, both for what you've done for the district, as well as the help and support you've provided me over your time here so that I could grow as a board member. Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, we'll move on to roll call.
Mrs. DeSico? Yes. Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Capagrosso?
Yes.
Mrs. Succi?
Yes.
Mr. Holly?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
Mrs. Vieira?
Yes.
Mr. Oldmixon?
Yes. Next, can I have a motion to read for a second time policies under agenda item 23?
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. DeSico? Yes. Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Capagrosso?
Yes.
Mrs. Succi?
Yes.
Mr. Holly?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
Mrs. Vieira?
Yes.
Mr. Oldmixon?
Yes. Next, motion to read for the first time policies under agenda item number 24. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. DeSico? Yes. Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Capagrosso?
Yes.
Mrs. Succi?
Yes.
Mr. Holly?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
Mrs. Vieira?
Yes.
Mr. Oldmixon?
Yes. Moving on to unfinished business. Does anybody have any unfinished business?
I do. I know that you had acknowledged, we have acknowledged our outgoing board members. I wanted to just take a minute to acknowledge our re-elected board member. I wanted to just say a little word about that. It's a privilege to acknowledge Rob Waskis's re-election to the Board of Education. This reflects the trust our community has in you and the positive impact you've made during your time. Your service has always gone beyond policy, and you've shown a true passion for creating opportunities for every child. As Vice President and Finance Chair, you've demonstrated both expertise and responsibility, guiding our district through successful referendum votes and ensuring fiscal responsibility in our long-term planning. One of your standout qualities is your data-driven decision-making. Whether in financial matters or educational initiatives, your thoughtful approach has led to positive changes in both our finances and educational outcomes. You've prioritized professional growth within our board, encouraging us to pursue NJSBA certifications. Your own commitment to this, completing all requirements and simply pending longevity for the Certified Board Leader certification, is a true reflection of your dedication and commitment to our district. Your contributions extend to improving our board's processes, including refining our retreats and creating a governance calendar to keep our work focused and aligned with our goals. Additionally, your advocacy for the student safety has led to important security upgrades and future increased officer coverage. On the state level, as our delegate, you have been a strong advocate for change, helping pass legislation with overwhelming support and working tirelessly to address funding inequities that have affected our district. As you begin your second term, we're excited about the future. Your leadership shows that vision, planning, and commitment to equity, great things are possible. Our district is fortunate to have you on the board. It's been an honor to serve alongside of you. Congrats, and thank you for your unwavering dedication to our community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jess. And I second that as well. Does anybody have any other unfinished business? Does anybody have any new business? Yeah, I was going to bring it up in new business. Okay. So just under new business, something that the board has discussed recently as a result of correspondence that went out from our middle school. We discussed possibly holding an assembly or an event one night to bring in for parents, to bring in possibly chief of police, other stakeholders in our community to kind of discuss the rise in HIBs, which is harassment, imitation, and bullying cases that have gone on in our school, and which actually is not exclusive necessarily to our school, as it turns out from just kind of discussing with our attorney. It's kind of a widespread issue, it seems like, middle schools throughout the state. But it was just something we discussed, so it's going to be something, probably an unfinished business, next board meeting that we'll maybe have some more details for the community to update you with. If there was anything else that I missed on that, anybody feel free to chime in. Okay. Moving on to public comment. This is public comment on all items. Please approach the microphone and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Sophie Dahl, 315 Schoolies Mountain Road. Dear members of the school board, my name is Sophie Dahl, and I'm writing to share how 2 recent incidents at school have deeply affected me. I'm a 6th grader, a standout student, and I work very hard to maintain my grades and made the high honor roll even with everything I've been going through. But right now, I don't feel safe or supported at school, and I need to explain why. These incidents involve bias and hurtful words directed at me. The first incident was incredibly painful, and to this day, neither the student nor their family has ever apologized to me. It feels like there's no accountability and no real lessons learned. It's like they got to move on with their lives while I'm left carrying the hurt every single day. In the second incident, things got even worse because the other family counterfiled and accused me of saying racist things, which is completely untrue. As a biracial person myself, I didn't even know there were slurs for white people. I've never said anything like that in my life. It's already hard enough being the target of racism, but now I have to deal with lies on top of it. It feels so unfair and has made everything even harder to handle. My mom has always taught me about how the world might view me and tried her best to prepare me for these hurtful things that could be said to me. But I never imagined I'd have to face those things at school from my own peers in a place where I'm supposed to feel safe. These incidents have really impacted my mental health. I work so hard to keep my grades up and to be a good student, but since this has all happened, it's been hard to focus. I feel distracted and stressed all the time. I've lost the excitement I used to feel about coming to school, and now I just try to get through the day so I can go home to where I feel safe. The school says it has a zero-tolerance policy for racism, but I don't feel like that's true. If there's really a zero tolerance, why am I the one who feels unsafe and stressed out while the other kids seem to move on like nothing happened? Where is the accountability for what they said and did? This should not be my problem to fix. The school and the districts needs to do more to make sure this doesn't keep happening to me or to anyone else. Punishing one student isn't enough. Clearly, no real lessons are being learned because it just keeps happening. Everyone in the school needs to learn about how words and actions like these affect people. There needs to be more education about kindness, respect, and how to treat others. It's not fair that I have to carry this hurt other day while the people who caused it face so few consequences. I love school and I want to feel safe and excited about coming here again. But right now, I don't. I need to know what the school and district are going to do to change things, not just for me, but for everyone. How will you show that zero tolerance really means no zero tolerance? Thank you for your time. I hope it leads to real changes so no one has to feel the way I do.
Brianne Dahl, 315 Schoolies Mountain Road. Good evening. My name is Brianne Dahl, and I'm here tonight as Sophie's mother to discuss an issue that has been both heartbreaking and deeply concerning. My 11-year-old daughter should not have to address a room full of adults about how she's being treated in a place that is supposed to be safe and inclusive. This is not just about her, it's about how these incidents show the urgent need for stronger social emotional learning and accountability in our schools. I understand that some of you on this board believe conversations about inclusivity and diversity should be left to parents rather than taught in schools. But let me be clear, not all parents are having these conversations, especially if their families don't look like ours. As a biracial family, we've always had discussions with our children about how the world may perceive them, the history of racism, and the experiences of our family members and myself. I've done my best to prepare them for the things they might hear, but many children are not getting this education at home. And when that happens, where are they supposed to learn it? Without a commitment to teaching respect, empathy, and an understanding of how words and actions hurt others, incidents like what Sophie has endured will only continue. While I respect differing opinions, I believe schools must play a role in ensuring that all children are taught how to coexist in a community that is growing more diverse every day. I've had to explain to my kindergartner what it means to be called a black monkey, or the N-word, and how if he hears those words, he should tell a teacher. My third grader has told me that he's already heard racial slurs being used by kids at Flocktown Cosman. These incidents aren't just middle school problems, they start much earlier. The term zero tolerance has been used frequently, but from my perspective, it feels empty. If this district truly had zero tolerance for racial bias, my family wouldn't be here tonight. Sophie wouldn't be grappling with the emotional toll of not one, but 2 incidents of bias from her peers in less than a month, I might add. The first incident was especially disheartening. We were not notified immediately, and the excuse we were given was that there weren't enough answers and that it was too late in the day to tell us anything. Yet the family of the child who targeted Sophie was informed immediately, even though my daughter was the victim. To this day, that child and their family have taken no accountability. There has been no apology, no recognition of the harm done. Their lives have gone on as if nothing happened, while my daughter carries the weight of that incident every single day. The second incident was handled better in terms of communication, and I appreciate the effort made to keep us informed. However, it came with its own new challenges. This child and her family have accused Sophie of using a racial slur towards white people. That claim is not only false, it's insulting and offensive. My husband is white, and racial slurs of any kind are not part of our family's values or conversations. I had to explain to Sophie that there were even slurs for white people because she had no idea such a thing existed. Sophie is a standout student, maintaining excellent grades, even while facing the stress and emotional toll of these incidents. Like any parent, I want my daughter to focus on her education and continue being the kind and hardworking person she is. She shouldn't have to carry the burden of being targeted by her peers or worse, their families. The district needs to provide more education on how harmful this specific type of bullying is. These are not just words, they cause lasting damage. There should be no place and no tolerance whatsoever for racial bias. If families are not addressing these lessons at home, then the schools have a responsibility to ensure all children are taught them. We chose to live in this district because of the quality of its schools. Our taxes fund this system, and leaving is not an option. We don't need to change, but the schools do. I need assurance from you that these issues will no longer be met with empty policies and inconsistent follow-through. The Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights exists to provide a safe, discrimination-free environment for all students. It's time for this district to fully live up to that promise. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see a real change, not just for my daughter, but for every child in this district.
Good evening, Eamon Dahl, 315 Squeeze Mountain Road. I hate to mar, I know there's a lot of people leaving here tonight, and this being your last meeting, I apologize. I come tonight as a father. I came to this town many years ago, and being pragmatic, I looked at the town, and buying a house, I didn't have a wife or kids, but I saw the school district was really good, and that was one of the features of this town. I trust 3 of my children with the school district, many with the working hours. I don't want to send my kid to school where she doesn't feel safe. It's not fair. Sorry. It's not fair for her to come to school and not feel safe. If it was any other situation, I wouldn't let my daughter be with people who she doesn't feel safe with. If it was a babysitter, if it was another parent or another adult or even a family member, she wouldn't be there anymore. I can't change this. I'm a product of the Catholic school system all the way through college and on, and I expected more in a public school. I had trepidation coming here, but I come to it with disappointment. It needs to change. It's not fair. I don't get to see my daughter cry at night. It's just not something.
Is there any other public comment? Did you want to address any of that, or?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say how brave Sophie is. Sophie, thank you for being so brave and coming here and sharing your story, as well as your parents. First and foremost, we always want children to feel safe and welcome, and it's heartbreaking to hear that you've gone through some things that really do not make you feel safe. I'm aware of some of the investigations that have taken place, but I'd really love to speak with you individually. So maybe we could set up a time before I leave so we can talk it through, and to make sure that you're feeling as though we're doing everything on our end to make you feel safe and welcomed and loved and supported, because that's most important, that when you're in school that you always feel loved and safe while you're being educated. So we're going to do everything on our end, and I know Mrs. Lind is here as well. She's the new superintendent, and maybe even Mrs. Lind will get to meet you as well, and we can talk it through. And I'd love to meet your parents as well, so we can really talk about next steps and see if there are things we can do specifically, not only for you, but for the entire school community, so that all children feel welcomed and loved and respected, and maybe we can do better. I mean, I think we can all, as a whole community, always do better, but we know as a school district that we can always do better, and we want to make sure that we are listening and doing everything we can to make things better for all children. So thank you again for your bravery, and to your parents as well for being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And I echo everything that Mary Beth just said, but I also just want to add that I brought up a new business. So we are being proactive, before anybody got up and spoke tonight. This is an issue that is, on the mind of the board, and we discussed, next steps on, how we can kind of address this and make change. So I just wanted to add that as well. Moving on to district distinctions. Just a few things to wrap up the board meeting. So at LVMS, the Toys for Tots Drive is this month, which ends, I believe, 2 days from now, December 12th. LVMS's biggest PTA fundraiser is coming on February 13th, which is Casino Night at the Chandelier at Flanders Valley. The Got Sneakers Drive is ongoing as well. The PTA is collecting gently used athletic shoes, if you have any. Related to all schools, the holiday celebrations and concerts are taking place this month. Fun events are taking place, including National Grinch Day, holiday shops, Ugly Sweater Day, sing-alongs, and holiday parties, just to name a few. And just to remind everybody, early dismissal will be held on December 20th to start the winter break, and the district will be closed from December 23rd through January 1st. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.